Yeah, we were gonna do that, but I thought, what's that switch over there?
That's just, that controls the connection upstairs.
But it's a switch at the,
So now we have to go up here and do this?
Not now, cause I just.
you don't have to worry about
But
it.
normally, or that's
You
your
ju-
job?
You
Yeah,
just
that's our
do
job.
what you do.
Cause I do it so well, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Kurt.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
wow.
No problem. Someday maybe there'll be a way to communicate.
Someday.
With the new camera system and
As soon
everything.
as they do them, can you get a
Cell
preliminary
phones, I
Or,
guess.
you know, if
feel for
we
what?
got cell phone
Yeah,
numbers out.
rather
Yeah,
than waiting a week
right.
to send it off to the lab and they sit down.
Is it gonna vary a lot from the early learning side? Trailers, I guess.
It could, back, we hope it gets better.
But that early learning side has a lot of different buildings on it.
I'll go out on a limb and say you're the CrossFit guy.
I am, yes.
You know, well,
Considered, waste,
Oh, yeah. So I helped a lot with his winter
Well,
Olympics group.
Oh, yeah?
And I just know him through
Yeah.
various
Yeah,
friends.
if it's deep at all.
Jared Bakken.
Yeah.
I don't think
God,
it is,
he's-
cause,
he's awesome.
Yeah.
He does great films.
we took,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all that does. That's all that guy does is just sit there and stare through the lens.
Yeah, he really is
So
good.
good.
They took the iron.
Nice guy, yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
they've helped
So
Bill
they
out a
were
lot.
lined up.
Jared is clutch.
So you guys getting things dried out down there?
I was fortunate enough to be the last building that didn't get a lot of water. I was like maybe this much in the back end.
Did you name it after the flood?
Believe it or not, yes, my branding company was saying that's what we're
Seriously?
doing.
Yeah, well, Jim,
Yeah.
Jim was-
I came down at a very unpopular time.
Yeah.
Excavator in
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I'm
Yeah.
like, might as well.
No.
I'm in the building Barrel House is in,
Yeah.
so 2 doors down from me,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Kinda relate.
Absolutely. Did you? I mean, you guys didn't get hit.
Yeah, they just.
No, we,
Yeah.
our basement flooded.
Yeah.
And we
that
just,
was-
we just got it cleaned out and now it's flooded again.
Oh, it got flooded again. Yeah, because I was gonna say it's still coming up from the drains.
Oh, it's coming up everywhere.
Yeah.
Piles, yeah.
It's coming up through the manhole covers in the alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was in Nashville until like
Okay,
2
so that's
hours
case
ago.
That's case.
So I kept hearing that something might be
So
going
you
on.
didn't
So I was
have
like, oh my goodness. So I was expecting
Soil.
something to be pretty
Or
nasty when I
even-
walked
even
in,
good
but it was good.
It's okay, yeah.
Nothing's going on.
It's okay.
Looks a lot worse than it is right now.
I had a bad omen last Tuesday night with the storms moving in, so
Oh, yeah.
I actually stayed with my mom, across the
Right,
creek from
right.
so.
You get to see the
But there's also
wrath
other
of the Duck
Well,
Creek.
I remember in 1990 coming home from Champaign because
Oh,
the
yeah.
water was going up and they really didn't know what was going to happen. But
Anytime you get over 2 floors.
it was pretty high, but it wasn't. It's been higher.
Oh, yeah, this,
We're on the border. This is the same-
Wednesday morning when I got up and I was like,
We're right on the border.
cause our
Needing to do deep
whole
foundation.
backyard was, it was right up to we have a wall that we built after our house flooded in 2008.
Take a chance.
And, it was right up to the wall, but then when it went down, our whole entire yard is covered in a million little
They're involved
sticks.
in every decision, so they
Just
heard the
millions of these
presentation
tiny little
and decided
twigs
that, no,
all over
we're
the
not
place.
going to take a chance.
I'd rather have leaves than sticks.
But in 2000.
Well,
Okay,
we have a
we're ready,
quorum.
and we have, it's 5 o'clock.
And
All
are you
right.
Scott?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'll
get-
go ahead and
we
call
can
this
get
meeting to
going.
order. First order of business is the secretary's report, approval of, I guess this is, I thought we were doing a special meeting, but we're just gonna do a regular.
Well, we've got some regular
Okay,
items on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as well as it is a special meeting, but there's regular business on
so
the
we can
special.
go ahead and approve the minutes
Yes.
from the last. So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I
of
move
those
to
meetings?
approve.
Is there a second? Any changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Old business, I don't think there is any. New business, case DR 1907, request for design approval 221 East Second Street, C-D Downtown Zoning District, new storefront, Scott Ryder petitioner.
Scott, did you wanna come up to the
Sure.
table?
Sit at the table now?
Sure,
Sure.
come on up.
Basically just an opportunity to kind of give an overview of the project. We've got some pictures if we need to. ask questions?
So about 6 months ago, we did a new storefront, and we remodeled our Realty office next door there. And this is an old garage door that we want to do the matching deal. So we've got a business going in there that's a CrossFit gym, and we want to do the matching glass that's over here to the left. We'll just have to bring that across and have a door. So it should be the same or bronze and glass panes is what we sort of match and go all the way across instead of having a garage door there.
Mhm.
So is it just going in the opening of the garage, or is it going all the way across? So will there still be some of that metal facade, that black metal?
Yeah,
thing
just
in back
just the
there?
garage opening is what we're talking about. We're actually just the garage door opening.
'Cause these dimensions look a little bit wider than what is that garage door actually 156 inches wide?
I think so. I mean, it's a big garage door. That's just the opening
Okay,
is what we're proposing, is just going in that spot.
and you've got kind of a two-layered.
Because the glass can't be any higher dimension than that, so it's we're kind of trying to have it match to where we'll go across where the pane would come across, but the garage door is a little taller. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to match the building as much as we can.
It'll look a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any questions?
It's pretty
Good to me.
cut and
Looks
dried,
good.
yeah.
Seems like a good improvement.
Yep, I think it'll be good having another business down there instead of just it's been kind of a garage storage space for a long time.
Yeah.
And Seth's here, and he's the new business owner that's going in there. So he's starting to talk about, I think, signage next. But
It's the same hardware on the door and everything? So
yeah,
that's what you've
it's the
got,
same
exactly the
contractor
same
that
thing.
we used to do the other storefront 6 months ago. So it's the same. Should be matching to what we did next door, or I mean, same building, not called
Yeah.
next door.
Well, you've done a really nice job with the
Thank you.
building next door.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're getting back up and running.
Yeah, we're open. We remodeled, did the front door kind of area there, and then moved everything upstairs because it's gonna take months to try to read all the drywall's ripped out and everything. So, getting flooded down there. But we're within 2 weeks we had the front door back open and carpet and new subfloor and just you can just come in the front door and go upstairs. So that's good solutions.
Well, thanks for sticking it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited. The upstairs is a neat spot. It's kind of a half unfinished kind of area, but it's a neat upstairs too. So
Good.
we had planned to have that be years down the road where we're expanding that space, not months. So
So opportunity.
that's right. That's right.
All right, is there a motion to,
So moved to
for
approve.
EJ?
Motion to
Is there a
approve.
second? Any further
Second.
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Very
Okay,
good. Thank
thanks.
you so much. Okay, next case, DR 19-08, request for design approval, 221 East Second Street, same CD Downtown Zoning District, new wall-mounted sign, Seth Ross, petitioner. Seth, you wanna come on up? Come up to the seat.
All right.
The hot seat.
The seat.
Again, same project, try to get Seth on the agenda as well. I mentioned in the report, did not know what the materials were of the sign. I think this is one of the cases, where I was trying to go for that contrast of white on white with a black background, but given the color of the building, I think
Now,
things
Matt,
look
I did,
fine.
I did find out that it was an 8-inch aluminum sign.
Aluminum composite, I'm sure.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, and we're looking at potentially doing a 6-inch bezel around it to raise it from the building, to give it a little bit more of a, lesser of a just sticker on there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some.
Right.
Again, I
dimension
think
to
that's
it.
just what I meant.
And I was looking at it
Just
too, and
enhance
I
what-
remember how we always like to go, light on dark, and I thought, well, like you said, with the dark building, that wouldn't work. But the other reason it wouldn't work is I looked at his logo, and that skull, if you reversed and it was white on black, it wouldn't look right. The way the skull is, the eyes are dark, like they should be, and if they were white, sometimes people do that, and it just doesn't
Doesn't
have
make
the same
sense.
impact. So yeah, I wouldn't want him to try to go white
Well,
on
when
black. So.
we update the downtown design guidelines, we'll make sure that we have a section pertaining specifically to skulls.
Skulls, black eyes only.
Thank you so much.
So, is this the same material then that the Exit Realty sign is
No,
next
ma'am.
to it?
It is the same exact material that is being used at Barrel House.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've always said, you know, if you can at least go with the aluminum composite, which is about an 8-inch thick, and gives it a little more dimension, and
Mhm.
it doesn't show the ripple. If you just use flat aluminum and you screw it there, you see ripples and stuff. So the aluminum composite's a little
A little stiffer.
more rigid, and yeah, and
And
if they put a border or something around, it'd be nice, you know, to see black border around it, even though the building's dark. But are you just gonna raise it off the building, or will it be an actual frame?
Yeah, yeah. So that was the idea, is
Yeah.
to get at least 6 inches off
Oh.
of the building,
Good.
and level it into the bezel.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I like that. The one question I have is just the proportion, you know, the with all this glass and everything, this is quite horizontal. Is there any way, without messing up your logo, to stretch it out more horizontally?
I tried,
Yeah.
and I have a picture of what they did, and it was already starting to pixelate the more
The
finer
image
parts.
itself.
Yes.
Yeah, the only way, you know, when you're limited in height, you can't stretch without what we like to call in the business bastardizing the quality of it, because you start stretching things and
Mhm, yeah.
it doesn't work. The only way you could do it is if he had his anchor, you know,
To the side
the
of it.
anchor part to the left, and then, you know, backwater and CrossFit. But it just, yeah, I think that there's really no way around that. Is that 4x8?
That is a 5x10.
5x10?
Yes. And from a proportion standpoint, he said that's
Yeah.
the best that he could do, unless he gave me reference to somebody else that might get a little bit better stretching it out, but.
No, you know, and I'm sure that'll be a digital print, because your
Mhm.
designers, you know, I'm an old sign guy before computers came along, and so a lot of people design logos without. I always design them knowing that there's probably going to be a sign in the future.
Right.
And you know, like this, you couldn't really do any dimensional stuff with that, because it's a pretty detailed logo, and so it'll just be a digital print, I'm sure, just applied to that. But because it doesn't, is your lettering, isn't it like rough or scratchy, or doesn't it have the?
Yeah, it has a texture to it.
Yeah, and so you can't really cut vinyl or cut a substrate and give it more dimension. You know, your digital print's the best way to go. So.
I guess I should have asked this question. I assume that, so the building itself is gonna stay black or charcoal or,
I don't plan
Dark.
to change the building, just to fill in the opening. It is that steel on there, but I don't plan to modify it at this time. I mean, it's just.
or change the color?
No, I just wanna just fill in the
Mhm.
garage door. We had all the brick, and this is an older picture of this, last week we had the brick all power wash, looks brand new. I mean, or what are they, chemical,
Mhm.
whatever they do to it, so it's all tuck point now, and the front of the building looks brand new.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Well, does anybody else have any comments, thoughts?
Just an appropriate name.
No kidding.
Thank the branding company for that. I'm not that smart.
It doesn't really show it here, but there will be a little bit more of a shadow with that held off of the wall a little bit, right? So the 6 inches, it's not gonna look so stuck onto the building.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're trying to stray away from, is the like just cardboard look onto the wall. Definitely want it to look a little bit more tie-in than that.
What'd you say the dimension is?
5x10.
I guess I'm wondering if it would look better if it was actually even just then, you know, like lined up here rather than, it just looks so, to me, squatty over the, and then with the door off to the side.
So this is franchise.
No.
It's not a franchise?
Oh, well, CrossFit is a franchise, but Backwater is not.
Okay.
It's just I pay a franchise fee to them to have the CrossFit
Got it.
name, and then I start my own branch.
I understand.
Yeah.
So they have no say in the sign dimensions
No,
in that regards?
no.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I'm good.
Yeah, that's right.
You good? All right, is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There
Thank
you go.
you
When are
guys.
you gonna
Thank
open?
I'm hoping the 16th. It depends on when we can get people in the door. Right.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay,
You don't have to hang around.
No,
yeah,
scram.
unless you
It's
want
pretty
to,
exciting.
you wanna see the new Y.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you, guys.
Okay, general discussion, presentation and preliminary discussion on proposed downtown YMCA 600 block of East 4th Street, C-D downtown zoning district.
We
Floor is
have
yours.
Brad Martell,
I'll go
the
first, and when
director,
you start talking
and Greg
materials,
Gallagher.
I'm gonna turn it over to Greg. So, we, wanna put the YMCA presently owns all this property right here, including this building, used to be Tom Roeder, we bought that about a year and a half ago. Wanna put the Y right up here on the bluff. This is the Early Learning Center, it goes to Quad City Times. So the, design and development of it, the pretty pictures over here, this is facing straight west. So the front entrance will be on the west side, which, well, it's kind of cattywampus here, this, talking right here, not pure west, but, front entrance, a lot of glass in this design, very contemporary. Pull up, you see both swimming pools, as you come in. This is the running track on the very top. We've tried to use the Mississippi River as the backdrop and try to use, views to the river. As you keep going, this is kind of the $1 million view. This is the corner of the Early Learning Center right now, and a sidewalk so the kids can come up and use that. This is the running track, the very top floor, glass stairs. And then this here is a new concept. This will be an outdoor exercise area for Zumba, sunrise yoga. When we were looking at this property, we used a drone from Estes Construction. We put it up 3 stories with a camera, and we shot sight lines. And we believe if we had our elevation right, we'll be able to see the Mississippi River 6 miles both ways if we had everything on par that day. We think we did, but we weren't engineers out there.
Close enough.
So a very attractive building. This is another front entrance. Have a lot of this is a double-sided fireplace. We want social areas outside and both inside the YMCA. Again, a lot of glass. I'm gonna let Greg get into the furnished, the type of material and the look of it on the outside. That's more of his. This is another view of the front entrance, what it'll look like. The pools are probably the centerpiece of this, right in the middle of the building. I'll get into that, a little bit of the interior design. And this is a little bit of the street level when you look up. So it's gonna be a 3-story building, and because it's up on the bluff, it's probably gonna seem a little bit taller than that. So it's gonna be, when you come across River Drive, that's gonna make quite a statement from what's there now. The building here at the corner, that's the Envision building, lack of a better word. Jim Russell donated that to the YMCA. So once we get everything, that building we want to demo, probably in the next 60 days. So when you come by River Drive and turn the corner, that's gonna be pretty clean right there. I get rid of it, and I think it's been flooded twice now this year, the parking lot right here. So it'll be a nice building to probably move on. And then I'll go ahead and let you guys know the interior of the building. Then I'll turn it over to Greg. You enter right here. So this is all glass for the pool. This is all glass. Check-in desk, outdoor patio, indoor. This is a double-sided fireplace. Child watch, meeting rooms, 3 locker rooms, and we have 2 swimming pools. I have a lap pool, 4-lane lap pool, be open for lap swimming anytime we're open. And this is a family pool that we use for swim lessons, open swim, and water exercise. And this is a play structure for the kids, probably I'd say 6 months to 8 years. You know, big bucket feature, slides, all of that for the kids. This is a little bit different. I don't know how many of you guys know the Medical Heart Research Center with Dr. Samas, but this would be a 7,000 square foot heart research center in the Y. We're not talking cardio rehab or anything like this. This is a cardio research center. Dr. Samas has been in business since 2002. He gets funded by such groups as Boston Scientific, and it's medical research. So that'll be in the Y. And that'll have an outside entrance and inside entrance. And then we go to the second floor and come up the stairs. Treadmills here, we look down into the pool area, metro area admin, group exercise studio, 2 racquetball squash, a gym, a spinning studio in the middle, a wellness space with glass here, so you see the river again. And this is a lot of bathrooms and sink. We want to get this license for 120 kids in day camp. And it's 15-to-1 is the ratio to get a license for day camp. Social areas everywhere in the building. A lot of social area with phone charging stations at each one. Right, Greg? A lot of phone charging stations. Track around the very top of the structure. Again, this is the outside roof terrace. This is free weight area up here. This would be all glassed in for sound, but this would be personal training, functional training. And again, we'll have a line of cardio equipment overlooking so you have sight lines at the river.
How many laps per mile?
Yeah, everybody asks me that. I'm just telling everybody more than likely about 8. Yeah, it'll be a pretty friendly track. Be very simple to Bettendorf, only an oval. So that right now is what we have. And I'll let Greg get into the materials of the building a little bit and some of that. Greg?
Okay. Just to give you a little background, a couple of years ago, the Y hired a firm called Grow. Grow is an architectural firm and a consulting firm that works with Ys across our country and develops schematic plans so they can begin their fundraising. So the images that you see today were produced by Grow, and I'm with Studio 483 Architects in Davenport, and it's my job to work with the Y and work with Wetzel Construction to complete the design, create the construction documents, and help advise during the construction phase. So the materials, the design, all came from Grow through a fairly lengthy process, understanding, programming what the Y's needs were. You can see by the exterior images there's a lot of transparency in this building, not only outside in, inside out, but also internally. A lot of the spaces that Brad was noting have glass internally to see all the spaces, so when you walk in, you see a lot of activity right away. Just to give you a little bit of understanding, it's fairly obvious what some of these glassed areas are, and we want to have fairly clear glass. We don't want reflective glass because we want to see in and we want to see out. That glass is going to be shaded by sunshades. So you see about every 2 foot vertically there's going to be sunshades to help shade that glass for certain times of the day. Also, you see a color here that represents brick. So material number 2. Material number 1 is a lot of glass and aluminum framing. Material number 2 is brick. A darker color that you see around the pool, around the locker rooms, is a vertical oriented, more of a gray tone metal insulated panel. And the number of the renderings that you'll be seeing, you'll see a repetition of that. And then the third or the fourth color or the fourth material is a wood decomposition, Nichiha. I'll just use that. Most people understand what Nichiha is rather than the composite board. So it has a texture, a finish, a look more like stone, and that's what the intent is, but it's also a much lighter material, so we don't burden down the weight of this building, which has a number of voluminous vertically spaces. The architecture was to be very contemporary. This is what we're seeing around the country relative to Y design. We came back from a tour Wednesday. We were in Tennessee, and we were in Wichita, Kansas, where Brad was previously. And this follows in line with what we saw, but this is actually upscaling it a little bit from the designs that we'd seen. As far as any other level of detail, that's where we're starting right now. We're starting to cut this building into multiple sections and understanding how the structure is going to interact with the glass, how it's going to interact with the exterior design. Is it going to change a little bit? It'll be tweaked a little bit. You know, some of the schematic designs have fairly thin overhangs that we know we have to have a little more structure in. We'll be back to you to be able to show you what that's going to be very shortly. But we're working together with IMEG, doing the civil and doing the structural engineering, and we're working together with Russell Construction, who's a construction manager.
Greg, can you go back to the west entrance? Is there another material in that underside of that canopy?
You want this view?
No,
How about that one?
that one.
This
Yeah,
view?
what's underneath that canopy?
This material right here?
No, the underside of the
brown,
the
the wood.
ceiling.
The brown wood.
Oh, the wood, okay, yeah. There is another material. That's a wood soffit panel, and we haven't really determined if it's going to be real wood or if it's going to be the Nichiha wood. Probably leaning that direction because you don't have to maintain it every 5 or 10 years.
Does that fairly represent the color scheme of the building in terms of the?
That's the color scheme that's been approved. We're gonna stay very close to that. We're already starting to research the materials, to find materials that match very closely with this. One thing is a little bit different on some of this, some of the scale of the panels. These tend to be very large panels. This building has a 14-foot floor-to-floor height, plus a parapet. So some of these panels, in reality, could be rendered as 16 to 20 foot long. We know that we can't buy panels that big, so the scale of that will change a little bit. What I like about the scale of this more represents the spacing of the vertical lines of the metal panels.
So the building's 42, 48 feet tall. Do you have a sense of how high from, say, the intersection of 4th and River Drive?
Not yet. Not yet. I hope Thursday, after our next design review meeting internally with the design team, to have more of that information. So you're asking about this height, or the height of the deck around the other side that's exposed to the
Just
south.
trying to get a sense of basically the scale.
Can
Okay.
you show that what would it be, southeast corner view?
Yeah, that one there.
This one here?
Yeah. Or there's another one that actually
the
shows it
street.
from the
Farther-
street view.
farther away.
Maybe
The
the
street view?
last.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So, as I mentioned, 14-foot floor to floor, 14 feet, 14 feet, 14 feet. But to give you a point of scale, I'll have to get the information as to what the elevation of the site is at that main floor.
Okay, so then down on the west end, that is basically a basement level that's sticking
Yeah.
out there?
This right here.
Mechanical.
Yeah, it's a basement level that's gonna house the mechanical, not only for some of the building mechanical, but also the pool.
Right.
The pool mechanical room is as big as the building mechanical room.
So it's actually a 4-story building, technically?
Well, yeah, with the basement. The basement's, I think the basement's
20
1,800 square feet.
Yeah, it's less than
It's
900
exposed on
square
that
feet,
one.
Only
900 for
exposed
the
on that one
mechanical.
side.
Yeah,
2 racquetball courts.
everything grades off to the south. And whether we had a basement or not, we would still have some exposure on this side. But in reality, that's 3 stories, this is 3 stories.
How would your ADA composition be in regards to the structure of the building?
What's the question? What?
Your ADA composition, how would that be structured in regards to front entryway, elevators, or an
Good
elevator?
point. Good point. Okay, let's go back to the first floor. What I'm going to show you is the first floor plan. And I don't have the information as to how the first floor of this building aligns with the first floor of the Early Learning Center. But we know that that's going to be accessed via an ADA slope sidewalk up to this entrance here. That's just the connection from that building. The main entrance is here, and this is the first floor. So everything on this level is flat and accessible, and the elevator is located back here, more centrally located in the building. So this gets you not to the lower level, which is the mechanical room, but it does get you to the 2 floors above the main floor. There's not a lot of change per floor. We don't have any rooms that are stepped, everything is flat once you get on a floor level. The track is at the same elevation as the weight area, as the training area here. But these spaces are vertical spaces that have 2-story volumes to them.
As you'll be, the track will look down into the gym, and this area will be a balcony looking down into the courts.
Kind of like at Bettendorf where the
Yeah.
track goes around.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And what I like as a YMCA professional, having to borrow some money for this project, it's very, even though this is a 70,000 square foot building, not a lot of hallways. There's not a lot of hallways in this building. I mean, that makes it very functional and very, I mean, we are nonprofit, but income per square foot makes it very favorable since we have to borrow money for it. So,
Yeah, your circulation is actually the walkways between the common areas and your equipment.
yeah, there's just not a lot of hallways, which is uncommon for Ys. Ys usually like hallways.
How do you feel that the materials tie back to the Early Learning Center, or do they? Or I'm trying to remember what those are pretty neutral materials over there.
Well, yeah, the brick, gray brick.
Yeah, it's a little, in this rendering, it's a little darker brick. You know, these are renderings. Have these materials been selected yet? No. No, we're starting the process to see what options are.
But will the intent be to somewhat have a campus kind of a feel between the two
Well,
buildings?
that was debated at, about a year ago, and we went away from a campus feel. We wanted to use the trees in the area, and that's why we did a lot of the wood and everything on this, rather than a institutional feel of the Early Learning Center. Doesn't have a lot of soft. It's a very nice building, but it doesn't have a lot of softness to it. And so we erred on that side rather than a campus, but that was brought up. Do we use the same color brick? Do we do that? And we decided to have both buildings stand on their own merit, right or wrong.
Is the gym floor gonna be wood?
Yes.
Is one of those pools warm water?
Yes.
Yep, one
We have
will
some
be 86
constituents
to-
asking.
Warm water,
Yeah,
a little cooler.
one will be 86 to 88, and the lap pool will be 81 to 82, so we won't have everybody upset at the pool temperature every single day. It's costly to put 2 tanks in like that, but 60, 70 years of this building, it'll be money well spent through the entire life of the building. And members will be a lot happier.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the way we have it. Pulling your leg.
Too many hallways.
Too many hallways. So, I guess I should give you full disclosure too. I'm on the board of the Y, so I can lead this conversation, but I will not be voting when we vote to approve the design at the time when we come back. But the one thing we will want to see are those samples of the finishes. So,
Yep.
Understood.
just make
We're still
sure.
figuring that out.
Yeah, of course.
But I would say at this point, if there's any serious reservations about the material palette or the design for that matter, would be a
Good to
time to maybe mention that.
It's a good point, because the Y wants to be in this building January of 2021, which means that they'll be moving dirt September of this year, which means that we all have a lot of work to do in the
Yeah.
next 3 months.
Is that Astra Furniture Building, the one you said you acquired?
Yeah, we bought
Is
that Tom
coming
Rotary
down?
building.
Is that coming down?
Well, not until we have a use for that space. That's another subject, but yeah, the idea is for that entire 15 acres to get developed. That's the master plan.
Yep.
Yeah, we bought this just because, you know, our from a wide board perspective, we want to put, you know, some kind of market rate apartments or housing in here, and this just kind of didn't, it's like in the middle of everything we wanted to do. And Tom finally allowed us to buy them, and he can be there until we have a use for it. Now this one I want to get down pretty quick,
Yeah.
because homeless issues, and it's been deserted now for 3 years, and that one I want to get down pretty quick. But we got to wait till we have the drainage and everything before we can tear that building down.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the access to the new Y, how you're going to get there from 4th Street?
Well, right now we have the main access point through here for the Y.
So is that the parking then?
Pardon me?
The green.
Parking?
Yeah, right now we have 300, but we probably won't have 300 when it's all said and done, because once we put islands in and everything. But we do have 40 spaces down here, I think 44 spaces in the Early Learning Center. So I think we'll have around 300, 320 parking spaces. Have some street parking here also. That's a lot of parking for a Y. Bettendorf has 288 with 15,000 members. So you put that in perspective. Now I know there's times we don't have enough out there, but that's pretty healthy parking for a Y facility across the country. Last thing we want to do is run out of parking for people to use a Y. That's not good business.
Is there,
But
oh, go ahead.
we do know that this will not be 300 by the time we put in islands and stuff.
On the east side, excuse me, are there plans for an outdoor area or space? I know it says an potential, water,
Yeah,
but I'm just curious, are there gonna be plans for an outdoor area, like, I don't wanna use the word park, but for kids and things like that?
well, to answer your question, phase 2 will be an outdoor water park. We have to, somewhere before the summer of 2021, when we move in here, put some designated area, and it'll probably have to be fenced to make state licensing for day camp.
Right, that's what I was.
And we haven't got that figured out yet.
Okay.
But you're absolutely correct. There'll have to be some of that in the property where, I'm not quite sure right now. We can also go down here and tie it onto the, playground that we have at the Early Learning Center.
But do they have to be kept as separate spaces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You can't share.
Age appropriate, you can't share.
You can't share
Yep.
the learning center space.
Yeah, the
with
code
Y.
and licensing is pretty strict here in Iowa for that.
Right. And it will be a space specifically dedicated to, the programming, it's not gonna be open, as in.
Oh, it can be open,
I
but
mean, like
during the
you're
day
gonna
we-
have to go through the it's not gonna be.
Right.
You're not gonna have play space outside.
Well, I
that's not
can't answer that yet.
enclosed.
We're probably not that far yet to
Okay.
answer that question. At Bettendorf, we use the front yard there, and they're okay with that.
Right.
And it's pretty open. We just need some area designated green space for
Yes.
camp.
Yep.
At one time, there were some plans to tie it into the park on the other side of the river too, with the new bridge and
Well, we'll
bikes
have,
and all
we
of
plan to
that.
have what I told River Action here with a bridge, we'll have a pedestrian, what I told the Greg and everything, we'll have to have a pedestrian crossway in different areas here to tie this in over here to on the north side. It ties in, we probably need to have a fire lane right on the north side, so we wanna have a walkway. It's really important for us, my long-term vision, to be honest with you, I'd love to tear down this hedgerow all along that property, put on a wrought iron fence and have different pedestrian walkways to access this property. I'd love to have that. Because we need to pull the kids in from this area of town into the Y. This is a very 98-99% rental area, very low income, and we'd love to get those kids in day camp in the summer. It'd be a big win. We need with a hedgerow and fence, I don't think a lot of kids are gonna wanna walk all the way around, so we gotta open that up. And I've been, when I had meetings with the aldermen, that's exactly what we kind of agreed upon, that was the best way to go forward.
I'm sorry, can you tell me the access point for the research center with Dr. Shamos?
Access point will be here and inside the building. They'll have parking spaces right here designated, like 8 parking spaces designated for them, for the research center for patients.
And I'm sorry, did you say that would be coordinated through CBM, or is it gonna be completely separate with Dr. Shamash?
What's that now?
Will it be part of CBM?
It'll be the Midwest Cardio Research Center's main, there are 3 that they have over there at Genesis West, I believe, will go away. And this will be their research center. They have 3 houses over there, and I think he'll probably get rid of them and sell them, and the research center will be moved here.
That'd be a great asset.
Yeah.
So will it have an outside entrance?
Yep.
Do we have an elevation of that side of the building?
We do not.
Okay.
There might have been a rendering of that side of that packet that I gave you, but, it would have been.
I don't think so.
there's an
Yeah, I think it
elevation,
was-
but it was not a rendering.
I mean, it is, in my opinion, the least important elevation.
Dana,
Trying to-
it looks a lot like this.
Okay.
The windows that you see here are the natural
Research
light
center, yeah.
into his space.
Oh, okay, great.
So he has some natural light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to tell by this, but this is about a 6-foot overhang, the gym structure from the medical space. Thus the expressed columns.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a funded area, or does he lease that from somebody, that, the doctor's part?
There's a financial arrangement from a lead donor.
Oh.
He's got a 99-year lease on it, and if he pays occupancy, and the lease that we're working on is about 35 pages long. So, if you want me to get into it, I will.
Sorry, I
but
brought
it's
it
just-
Has
Dave,
nothing to
it's
do with
been fully
design.
vetted.
No, not much, but.
Dana, the bottom elevation that you
There's
see
the
on the
north
screen
elevation.
is that the full length of the north elevation, 2-dimensional.
Okay, thank you.
If I could chime in with a couple things. Obviously, a lot more attention has been given to the building and its architecture and its form and its orientation on the site. I think going back to when Brad and I first had discussions, planning was already underway. The location of the building really hasn't changed much. I think given, and of course this year brings it to an example again, that you can't tuck a building right into that corner at 4th and River Drive due to flood reasons. But there's a lot of detail that the board will want to look at in terms of the site
Mhm.
plan as it evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And with a site like this and a phased project, that can be done in phases. We wouldn't expect to see every, the entire property laid out.
Right.
And I think, questions we're thinking about are, again, how does this project relate to the First Bridge project?
Right.
Even to the minutia of what's happening with the existing monument. I mean, that's on the site now. Which
Where
you
is
would,
that on
you would
that
never,
Right
you know what I'm
down-
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Right down here,
It's-
that won't be
it's like a-
disturbed.
it-
We
what's
hope
that?
it does not disturbed.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Is it, it's right on the corner?
Yeah.
You hardly
it's
even
a
see it
very
now.
underwhelming.
Well, it's got too many brush trees
Yeah.
around it and stuff.
Not
Yeah.
Needs to be
cared
cleaned
for.
up.
And, I'm not in the camp saying just because a monument was put there 100 years ago that it has to actually stay there. That's just my opinion. And, Brad mentioned, looking at opportunities for housing and additional development on the west side. I think it's great that you got the building right on 4th Street.
Mhm.
And, we're gonna continue to look at, access options, knowing that topography is a challenge, but knowing at least that, we're planning for pedestrian access is a good thing,
Mhm.
so.
And
What
hopefully
is the
two-way
monument
street.
you're talking about?
See, there's a monument built, I think it's 1925. And
Yeah.
It's like, it commemorates I think it's the 75th anniversary of the first bridge.
Over the Mississippi River.
And it's a, we could find it, but it's just.
That burned.
Well,
Burned it.
no, I
Yeah.
thought a steamboat hit it. Isn't that the one that
Yeah.
the steamboat hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Lincoln
Yeah.
defended either the
Yeah.
boat or the train, I can't remember.
Yeah, Lincoln's
But I just
first
think, Matt,
case.
if we keep it there, we need to do something to highlight it different.
Right.
People don't even know it's there because it's overgrown with brush.
Yeah.
It's probably too close to the road too.
Well, Grow took a photo of it and everything. They had it in the plan, but a lot of people don't even know it's there. It's very, it's just buried in trees.
Well, isn't there some remnant of the original railroad track
Yeah.
there
Oh,
too?
yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that back here a little bit farther?
It's on, it's about right here, the monument.
Mm-hmm.
But the remnants of the
Came up
bridge
here.
is like right up here.
Where
Yeah,
do,
right.
do you know where the bridge is supposed to
Right
go?
here. The
You mean the
The
Cascade
the
Bridge.
replica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's got an easement, we gave her an easement for that bridge right here.
Is the Fourth Street gonna be the only access in and out of the property?
That's what we're planning, yes.
There's gonna be no plans for anything, say, on the north side or anything like that?
Probably not.
Okay.
That's what we're planning.
There's,
Change that to two-way street.
there's
Yeah, we'd love to have
10-foot
two-way
elevation
streets.
here, and as you go west, it gets up as much as 20-foot elevation.
Okay.
We're planning on two-way streets, even as far back in 2013.
Mhm.
When I talked to the alderman at that time in a January meeting, I asked him, should we plan for a one-way street and two-way street? And at that time, they said definitely a two-way street. Now we're in 2019, and we're still planning on a two-way street, and hopefully we'll get that done in the next 2 or 3 years. I think there's some positive things happening there that I think we might be able to see that.
Anyway, there's a picture of
Yep.
the monument.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
But
it's all
everything's
just-
grown up a lot more than that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some weed trees growing around it.
Yeah, it needs some love.
Wasn't that rebuilt about 10 to 15 years ago?
I don't know. It's
I
before
thought a vehicle hit it, and it had to be rebuilt. Do you remember?
I don't remember that. It's entirely possible, though.
We definitely need a light on it or something. I don't know. Or redo it, I don't know, or remove it, I don't know. We're open to that.
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
For me, it's either show it off, even move it, I don't care, or if it's run its course, go
Yeah.
put it out in
Or
I
maybe
don't know.
maybe if they want to put it
Cemetery.
nearer to the
Yeah.
bridge.
I don't know if it's run
make
its
it
course,
part-
cause it is pretty cool that that's the
Yeah.
first bridge over the Mississippi River history-wise, so I'd hate to lose it,
I agree.
you know. The other thing, you know, design, I know the inside we didn't get to, but in the lobby, the check-in thing to the left, there's a big wall above the check-in. And what I would like to do there, it's about 30 to 40 foot long, is put a big mural of the history of downtown Davenport. And the bridge, the first crossing of the Mississippi is where we're gonna start all the way through to the end, which I think would be kind of cool, highlighting the site and everything.
You're talking about all the way
Yep.
along here.
Yeah, right above here, there's a soffit. That'd be a perfect place for the history of downtown Davenport. So, that would highlight, I think that'd be pretty cool.
It looks like you've got a big Y inside the
Yeah, I was just
And
gonna
the
big
glass.
gem.
ask about signage and whatnot. I think that big, bold, simple Y has really become a pretty strong brand, actually.
It has, yeah, and we see that everywhere on the trips that we took on Wednesday. We've seen a lot of them big Ys. Now, by the road, we're done. We have the signage out there, so just with the Ys on the building.
I believe there's 3. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know, is that etched in the glass or is that just back
No, it's
decals?
applied.
Yeah.
But is it gonna be etched vinyl? It won't be white, or do they not know yet?
Well, I think the intent is so you can have some translucence to it,
Yeah.
but that detail hasn't been determined yet.
And a
Almost
lot of
thought it
that
was
is
inside
dictated
of
by
it.
the National Y, where they're pretty, one thing that they're bears about right now is getting too creative with colors of Y. They gotta be
Yeah.
white or black,
That's good.
or colored if they've gotten way, 10 years ago, there was a lot of creative Y symbols out there, and that's no more.
Consistent.
And there's one at the top of the stairwell there?
Here too.
And that's dimensional signage down there that wide, probably?
I believe so. Again, the detail we haven't looked that closely at.
So yeah, 4 Ys on it somewhere right now.
One on every face, probably.
I love it.
Anybody else have any questions?
We saw something in
Comments?
Wichita, they did something at the top
Exactly
there.
like that, yeah.
Exactly like that.
You
It
can
was
tell
pretty
it-
cool. You could tell it.
10 blocks away,
Yeah.
that's where we're going.
Yeah, like
That's
the
it.
golden arches.
The lantern.
Just about.
It's your lantern on the Mississippi.
But we think, Greg pointed out to the group last week, this is really gonna illuminate at night
Yeah.
with all that activity. It's gonna be, being able to see in it and stuff, I think it's pretty,
It's kind of, to me, it's kind of a nice bookend to the Figgy on the other end downtown. You've got
Yeah.
the two kind of glass structures on the river.
You just don't see into the figgy, very minimally.
Right,
Mhm.
but you do have the illuminated glass,
Mhm.
or, yeah.
It's impressive.
Oh, yeah, it really is.
So we'll
I
look
think it's
forward
such a-
to more information as it comes together, and
Yeah, as I said, we're hitting the ground running, so we're already starting to compile things. We just have to work as a design team with the owner and start getting some approval with some of the concepts, and we'll be back to you with a different generation of drawings, and next time, some materials to look at.
Real quick, this outdoor area, is that only accessible if you go inside and come out, and you can't just jump the little wall and?
Well, you can get to it
Sleep
from
there.
here,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Good
we've
for
gotten
here.
that far.
but you can also get to it from here, and there's the fireplace.
Yeah, all of this is social areas inside, that's one thing, every floor's got tons of social areas just for people to sit down wherever. Just very friendly, and the Y, especially the Ys we visited last week, they were all over.
All over.
Yeah.
So you could potentially have non-members and members on that outdoor patio area,
Potentially,
since there's
yes.
multiple access.
Well, you could potentially have, depending on access to this, I don't think all of their patients
No.
are required to be Y members.
Right.
So they're gonna park and, you'll have to have some way of identifying who they are.
Mhm.
Cause I think during the day, this will be their main entrance. This could potentially be open after the Y, so we'll have to have this entrance.
Since this is medical, that it takes on an entire, camera, security, HIPAA, all kinds of different animals that wouldn't go into a regular Y.
there's, well, there's, I mean, cause it slopes so fast on that side.
Get her done.
So you think he'll be back in 6 weeks?
I'd like to think we'll be back in a month.
Okay.
And we might not be ready for all the final sign off on this yet. It's more or less like what we're doing today, the next generation. Because
Probably not gonna
this-
change a lot, but it'll change some.
yeah, it's a big building, a lot to consider, but I'd like to bring you along as we're working with the owner.
So our normal meeting is the end of the last Monday of the month,
4th, yeah.
fourth Monday of the month. So I don't know if you wanna try and get something by the end of this month, or?
Well,
Next question.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how we can progress in our design meetings.
We
That could
got
be
a
a
lot
target
of-
today, and we can follow up in another week or two
Yeah,
to
we got a
confirm.
lot of movable parts right
Right.
now, we just need some subcontractors to.
Yeah, we'd just like to try and avoid having too many special meetings,
Oh, yeah.
so with
I don't blame
a
you.
bunch of volunteers, so, if we could try to work it around a regularly scheduled meeting,
Yep.
that would
Okay.
be great,
Matt-
but,
Matt, if
that
you could
said,
Send us a schedule, and then we'll try to align with that.
Okay, well, it's
It's
the
on-
4th Monday.
Fourth Monday,
June-
okay.
June
Of the month.
24th
yeah.
24th.
this month.
And the what?
It'll
June
be June
24th.
24th this
Mhm.
month.
Okay.
That's like 3 weeks, that's
Yeah.
tight.
Might be
Yeah.
tight.
That's what coffee's for, Greg.
Coffee? What's coffee taste like?
Sleep's
I mean,
overrated.
the
Really?
one thing would be if you, like, for example, had finished samples by then, or, just one of those.
We could have some
elements.
alternative finished samples by then. I don't know if we'll have made the decisions on what they're going to be yet, because the construction manager has to evaluate the cost. And
Mhm.
we can use that as a goal and see where we're at.
You got either 3 weeks or 7.
We need probably in between.
We can be, I mean, it's a busy time,
I
in
know.
summer with
And summer's
vacations,
bad.
everything, and it's
Yeah.
just hard to get a quorum
Yep.
on a special meeting.
Right.
Everybody knows the regular meeting, but to get
Yep.
everybody back is sometimes challenging, although we managed it this time.
You did a good job this time.
Well, thanks, you guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
No computer glitches, no,
We'll have more
Projector
digital for you next time,
printing.
then Brad doesn't have to carry his big bag.
Yeah, this thing's heavy, man.
Thanks for the easels.
All right, do we have anything else we need to cover? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I would move.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Still time for me to go do some yard work.
Before it rains tomorrow?
Yeah.
No more.
The weeds are out of control. As are the bugs.
Oh,
Now
God,
my-
the bugs.
Now the silver maples are blooming.
Oh, gosh, those helicopters are.
Yep.
John tried to tell me that those are outlawed as far as being planted.
Oh, you can't,
Silver maples are?
you would, the city would never plant a silver maple.
I have like
And-
8 of them in my backyard.
And I don't think you could even buy them.
We have an enormous one at the neighbor next door. I mean, the thing is just
Will make,
like a $10,000 tear down.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. We have
that's
one.
odd that they're enormous because they're fast growing and very fragile.
Oh, don't even tell me that, 'cause we have one that's got 5 trunks on the
Yeah.
north side of my house. I mean, this
It
thing, it's just.
Splits off and.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
massive. And
Yeah.
it's gotta be, I don't know, 80 feet tall. It's just
They're nasty.
gigantic.
Yep.
I can't even tell you how many helicopters are. My lawn looks like it snowed.
Yeah, the dog doesn't even like them.
Oh.
She'll go out there sometimes and just look like, where am I supposed to stop?
I wish, why couldn't it not have been a deer that likes to eat that stuff? Instead of my house?
So the audio mute button is up here?
Yeah. I think it's normally just for the mic at the
Oh, okay.
podium.
Oh, okay, this makes sense.